Welcome to the Purple Positivity Podcast for May the 21st, 2018. I am your host, the amazingly adorable, and believe it or not, non-caffeinated, Rebecca Thistle, podcasting to you live-ish from my kitchen/dining room table in my apartment, which I call Jeffrey Thistlework. Yes. Whew. So, it's Monday. It's Monday. I know everybody, maybe you're listening to this while you're going to work. Monday. I know. I'm with you. But it's going to be a good day. I get to go assemble lanyards this morning, and then I get to have an adventure, and then I get to come home and work on my social media management skills. So last night yesterday afternoon I got a message from someone, and all caps someone, and he very briefly said, hey, I'm sorry, I haven't really been responding. I'm going through some issues right now, and I'm trying to work them out. And then he goes, how are you? And because I was irked at him because he hasn't answered a single one of my calls since Thursday. If you're listening to this, Thursday! I don't know if he listens to this. Anyways, I was in a mood, and so I just answered, I'm okay, and then I felt bad, because I didn't know what else to say. So that sort of sat in the back of my mind until I crawled into, I don't have a bed, so crawled into my little pallet on the floor. Oh, I really, really, really need to get a bed. But I crawled into my under the covers, and suddenly I knew exactly what I needed to say. And so I sent him a message that said, look, you're gonna get through this. Even Dark Elves can be killed, and I know that you can do it. Basically. I'm not quoting. And so then I got to thinking about the Dark Elves. So if you have been listening to this show, you ought to know, because I've definitely mentioned it in the past, I'm a huge, huge fan of the Iron Druid Chronicles. Atticus O'Sullivan is my fictional soulmate. He's not real. He's my fictional soulmate. And I love him. And Luke Daniels is the best, so go listen to these books on audio. I'm actually covering the series on the Purple Lit Nerd podcast this summer, which is fun. I love it. But anyways, one of the things that Atticus O'Sullivan likes to say is, when in doubt, blame the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves are creatures associated with the Norse pantheon of theological belief. And not a lot is known about them, which is why it's easy to blame them, because nobody knows anything about the Dark Elves, initially in the series anyways. Nobody knows anything, nobody seems to know where to find them, nobody seems to know what they do. They're very reclusive, and they sort of, they just keep to themselves. They're like, you go do what you're gonna do, we're gonna be over here going smoky, which I will explain in a moment. But Atticus, being Atticus, gets into some shenanigans. Can you tell this is not a professional podcast? Atticus gets into some shenanigans and blames it on the Dark Elves. That's what he does. And so the Dark Elves are not too happy with him. And eventually they take their revenge. Terrifyingly so, by the way. Like, oh my gosh, the first time he has an epic battle with Dark Elves, I'm like, oh, fuck. I had nightmares. I'm not even joking. I had nightmares. It was terrifying. I didn't, but I was like, oh, okay. Anyways, so the thing about the Dark Elves is that they are nigh on impossible to defeat, except they're not impossible to defeat, but they're close to it, because what they do in battle is they basically turn into a puff of black smoke. Atticus calls it going smoky. So you cannot hurt them, but they can hurt you, because even though they're smoky, they can still hold on to their magical stabby knifey things and attack you while they're smoky. Problem is, they can only stay smoky for a designated amount of time. I can't remember the exact number right now. But they can only stay smoky that for like a whole hot second. And then they have to go corporeal again. They have to resume a corporeal, vulnerable form. And they only have to stay in that form for like, I don't know, 5 seconds or something. And then they go smoky again. So in order to kill a dark elf, you have to time them, which is really hard to do while you're fending off an attack from them. But it's not impossible. You can defeat the Dark Elves if you're patient enough and if you're determined enough, and if you persevere. Now, all caps, someone doesn't fully understand this, and I'm hoping I will get to talk to him later today, finally, so I can explain all this to him, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't listen to this show. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. Because otherwise he might have some questions like, why are you talking about me? Why don't you use my name? What? Are you ashamed of me? I don't know. We'd probably have a weird conversation. about why I don't say his name. But, you know, I think that's an apt metaphor for dealing with any of life's problems. Is that, you know what, they may seem impossible to overcome, but they're not. You just got to find that moment of weakness, and you've got to take that opportunity and not hesitate in that moment. And, you know, I'm going through this situation with Child Protective Services right now, and I feel like I'm being attacked by Dark Elves. I blame the Dark Elves. Well, except I'm not in doubt about what the problem is with this situation, but maybe CPS is run by the Dark Elves. Oh. Oh. Not for legal reasons, that's not true, okay? I'm just saying. But, you know, we all have Dark Elves that attack us in our lives. We all have those things, those problems that seem insurmountable, that seem to be able to best us at every turn. And every time they best us, I think we feel a little bit more hopeless. I know I do. With this situation with Child Protective Services. And I feel like I'm being bested at every turn. I feel powerless. I feel hopeless sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I know it's really weird to say that on the positivity podcast, but I do. And it hurts every single day. But that moment is coming where I can get in and get the upper hand. And I'm sure I've missed a few of those moments. Like I said, when Dark Elves, they fight, you know, they go smoky, corporeal, smoky, corporeal, smoky, corporeal. And so, you know, you get a lot of missed opportunities. And you can't necessarily go, oh, fuck, I should have taken that opportunity. Well, you know what? That moment is past. You just gotta keep plowing on and keep doing your best to seize that moment and get the upper hand. And I know that's what I need to do. I know that moment is coming. I know it's gonna happen. I don't know when. I don't know how. I just know that. I was talking to a friend of mine last night about this situation with CPS, and she says, I don't see why you can't have your kid back. I don't know if you'll get your kid back because, and I stopped her. I said, no, I'm gonna get my kid back. I'm gonna get my son back. And I'm gonna get out of here. Because I can't stay here. So I say that to myself every day, several times a day. I will get my son back. And I will move. I can't stay in a town where I should have a support system, but I don't. There, I can't stay in a town full of